Yesterday at Comic-Con, The Walking Dead released a trailer for Part 1 of Season 11. In this video, I'm going to break it down shot by shot. A warning, this video will contain spoilers for The Walking Dead, well, not Season 11, for Seasons 1 through 10, and light spoilers for the comic series, but I'll give a warning before I get into those. Before I get into that, please remember to like and subscribe and follow DM Reviews on Twitter, link should be in the description. Also, don't forget to check out Demera Commissions in the Discord server below for great thumbnails, profile pictures, phone backgrounds, and so much more. Make sure to stay tuned because I also plan to do a video on everything we learned at the Walking Dead Comic-Con panel from everything other than the trailer, and I will also do a video for Fear the Walking Dead, and which will also cover Walking Dead World Beyond, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. Sorry that my voice sounds a little off, I've kind of lost my voice, but I'm still going to do this because I'm really excited to talk about the trailer because it was a really great trailer and we learned a lot. The first thing we see in the trailer is Negan talking to Gabriel. In the background you can see walkers banging on the windows. Gabriel asks Negan what's wrong, and he replies bad memories. I think this is kind of a reference and a callback to back in Season 8, when Negan and Gabriel were trapped in the trailer surrounded by walkers, and had a very deep and emotional conversation about how Negan was cheating on Lucille. I think that's the bad memories he's referring to, and he's getting callbacks to that because of what's going on now. Then we see a shot of Alexandria being rebuilt. My guess is rebuilding Alexandria and the Hilltop will play a major role in the first part of the final season. Then, in the voiceover, we hear Maggie say that what they have is very rare. My guess is she is referring to the walled communities of Alexandria and Hilltop. My guess is that although she has been searching for new communities for years now, she hasn't been able to find anything like what they have, so she has a greater appreciation for it. Next, we get this great shot of Daryl looking over what is probably the military base. We've seen shots of Rosita, Maggie, Carol, and Lydia. This probably has to do with Reapers because of something that Angela Kang said during the panel, which I will discuss in another video later today, hopefully. Then there's a shot of someone being bit. I'm not really sure who this is. A lot of people have been saying it's Alden, although I don't think it's him for a reason I will discuss later, but make sure to remember the short sleeves, the color of the knife, and also the fingerless gloves. We then see a shot of Negan holding Maggie. My guess is that this is Maggie seeing that person, maybe Alden, being bit, and Negan is saying we can help them, but we have to be smart about this, because they know that just because you're bit on the arm, it doesn't mean you're going to die, because you can obviously cut off the arm. Kelly is then seen holding Connie's notepad, and it reads, being trapped with the dead, walked with them for days, no light, no food, little water. It seems like Virgil's actually being nice to Connie, and not like taking her hostage or anything, since we also see a few shots later where they seem to be working together. However, we often see Connie without Virgil, so I think the Reapers will kill him. This probably will have a big part in the final season, or at least this part where they're trying to find Connie, and this is probably going to be how they find out that she's still alive. There's then a shot of Mercer seemingly about to interrogate someone. I'm so happy with how he looks here, and the armor looks good and not silly, which I was very worried about. The show has always done a great job at taking the parts of the comic series that are always a bit more comical, that wouldn't really work well in live action, and doing a great job at adapting them. Kind of like with Negan, they did a good job. With Princess, they did a good job. Are doing a good job, we'll see how they do her this season. And also with the Governor, back in Season 3, in the comic, he's very more maniacal, and I think that could have worked in the show, but I think the more calculated version worked much better, at least for the show standards. In a show. In the comic, the Governor works very well as well, but they're very different characters. Then we see Aaron, Carol, and a couple other people at Hilltop. I think this is their jail that they had set up, we saw Henry in Season 9. It seems like everyone will be happening in different places, so we could see a lot of traveling, but it's unclear why Carol and Aaron would be there, so that's my guess as to why they are there. We then see Maggie shooting a lot of walkers with this huge gun. I've noticed a lot of gun usage in the trailer, and I'll discuss it a bit later on, so it seems like wherever Maggie is coming from had a lot more ammo than Alexandria and Hilltop does. Then we see Alden take out a walker. So here's what I was talking about. Notice that his knife is a different color, at the very back you could see a little bit of an orange type color, and the one guy who had his bit, his sleeves were short, you could see kind of his arm, where here his arms are completely covered, and also the gloves are different. Here the gloves cover his fingers, where the guy who was bit, the gloves only covered the palm but not the fingers. Then we see Aaron is talking to someone who I think is Daryl, and says, so you were going to go after Ghost. Not a ghost, not ghosts, but Ghost, which is improper grammar. So my theory is that Leah now goes by Ghost with the Reapers, and Daryl's going after her, which would make the grammar make more sense. We then see Daryl looking at someone in a mask with a red stripe vertically down the middle. And Dog is obedient standing next to them. I think this is Leah because Dog will belong to Leah at first. And then there's a shot later where we see the eyes. If you look, they're kind of blue and they look very similar to Leah's eyes from that season 10 episode. There's also then a shot of Carol saying, "This is the path you don't want to go down." This is either to Daryl about Leah, same with Aaron, or maybe it's Aaron as the blue looks like his coat and he's about to take a dark turn this season. There's then a very creepy shot of a Reaper sneaking up behind Maggie. These people are really creepy and I am really excited to see them. They're giving me very serious Purge vibes with the masks and the brute weapons, and I'm very excited to see what they do with them. We then see a few shots from a night battle in the forest with the Reapers. At least one of them has a scythe, and that's awesome, and I hope a lot of them have very cool, creative, and maybe homemade weapons. There's then a shot of what I think are Reapers, but they aren't wearing masks and they're using guns. It's possible these aren't Reapers, but I think they are. There are then shots of Eugene and Ezekiel covered in blood fighting walkers. This is probably a test from the Commonwealth to see how skilled fighters they are. We then see Daryl being taken hostage by the Reapers. He may try to infiltrate them from within, or he gets caught while trying to save Connie. There's shots of Connie with fire, and then a shot of Daryl in front of a structure burning later on. On the subject of that, I think he could be looking at Leah without her mask on, because I definitely see, it seems like a woman's hair, and they definitely seem to be having, not a moment, romantic, but, a stare down, so it wouldn't make sense if they already knew each other. Then we hear a dog whimpering, and Daryl screaming no. My guess is that Leah made Daryl sit by pointing a gun at him, and then, released a walker on Dog, or maybe even stabbed him, and then walked away, so now, while he's gone, he's trying to save Dog, because, he had to wait for Leah to stop pointing the gun at him. We then see Mercer in front of a sign that says, "Fight the dead, save the living." This is clearly propaganda for the Commonwealth Army and the government, and I love that we're getting that, because we did not get that much of that in the comic series, and I like that we're doing more of that. Then we see the shot of what seems to be walkers, except they're walking on all fours, as if they're possessed by the devil, kind of like a horror movie. My theory is that either of these are people, but that seems a little far-fetched considering what they look like, or this is a dream sequence and a nightmare. I don't think they're going to be evolutionizing walkers or showing a new version of them, so I doubt that's what these are, and I kind of don't want them to be new walkers, because I feel this late in the game, it would feel so weird, and then you'd probably have to address that in other shows, and I'd rather they not do that. Then we see a shot of walkers at Hilltop walking in a circle, like they do with the Whispers. My guess is this is connected to the shot of Maggie in a Whisper mask. Maybe there are more walkers than we know, so they are using the Whispers' tactics by taking their masks and putting them in a circle, and maybe they'll lead them away soon. Then we see Magna and Carol hugging. This is very important because it shows Magna has forgiven Carol probably. And this is probably because they now know that Connie's alive, because maybe Kelly told them when she found the notepad. We also see Judith training a bunch of other kids, which is cool to see. I don't think it's going to be very important, because I don't think we're going to see an army of these 8-year-olds, but it's just kind of cool to see that they're giving Judith this kind of responsibility. Kind of like they eventually gave Carl responsibility after a while. We also see someone being eaten by a walker in Alexandria. It's definitely just an extra, I don't think it's someone we know before. And this is probably connected to the shot we see later on with one of the panels falling down. Maybe the Whisperers left Alexandria in a very bad shape, and this stuff was bound to happen. We then see Yumiko in a Commonwealth soldier uniform looking at the Wall of the Lost. This is where she will find out that her brother is still alive, which we know from past trailers, and that he lives at the Commonwealth. My guess is she is taking Michonne's story from the comics, and she was also a lawyer. She's probably going to want to stay there because she's going to get this nice life there, nice house, and obviously her brother's going to be there. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this because Michonne was such a big character in the comic, and Yumiko's just not that important. So I don't really know how I feel about this, but we'll see how they do it. Then we see Negan with a gun alone shooting walkers. My guess is Maggie will trust Negan, but we'll keep a close eye on him, as she says later on in the trailer. She's kind of like what Rick was like in the comic, where he started to trust Negan, but he was also very concerned about actually trusting him. Then we get the end scene of the Commonwealth propaganda with Lance. I already love how they're handling the Commonwealth in terms of the propaganda acts and the government, and I really like how they're handling all that much better than they did in the comics already. Then we see Eugene being tackled by a Commonwealth soldier, and you can kind of make out Ezekiel and Princess in the background. My guess is that they will have a fake Stephanie to get Eugene to tell them their secrets, but once he finds out it isn't Stephanie, they'll tackle him. So that's what I thought. Tell me what you thought of this trailer. I really liked it. Tell me how excited you are for the next season, and make sure to stay tuned for hopefully future Walking Dead content on the channel.